Hey, Fitzy here, back at it again with another one. Back on the 49 Chev. This one here, I'm trying to get this hood to fit properly. I had to do some customizations to the corners. There were really bad seams on the back of it, and I fixed it with a coat hanger. Stick around. Well, it's time to get back on the old 49 Chev. We ended off, I did some work on the doors here, getting all the doors fitting nice, get the alignment on the doors, getting body seams, getting all that straightened away. I'm to the point now, I'm up to the front of the car. I want to get some work done on the front of it. The owner of the car was in, and we discussed a bunch of things, and we sized up a few things. He wants to keep the grille, okay? We're going to keep the grille, but we're losing the headlight trim. I agree with that. The 56 Chev don't look nice at all on this car. We're getting rid of that. We haven't decided what we're going to replace it with there. And we're going to get rid of all this lower section down here and put a bumper on the front of it. This car desperately needs a bumper. It's got like a buck tooth type of look going on. But the first thing I want to do is I want to get this whole front to the point where it's all apart, get all the bits and pieces out of the way and get it all cleaned up. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this now and get it stripped down. Well now, let's do a quick assessment of what I've got myself into here. I just ended up cutting the bottom off it. It was already pieced together and chopped off and all that kinds of stuff done to it. Look at this, look. And it was a piece welded onto a piece, welded onto a piece, and then there's one piece lapped over there, and that's lapped there, and a piece there, and that piece is welded in there, and the way the bottom is shaped. Look. You come across here, and oh my. Anyway, that's cut off it. I took the grill out of it and took the headlight pots out of it. The only way to get the headlight pots out of it is to cut the headlight door tops off them. And I was thinking that quite possibly that they were original, like 56. The headlight doors were original 56. But it looks to me like all they did here, or they cut sections out of something, because I do have a crown on it to the front, right? So they probably used the 56 headlight top of the fender, and they just cut it all off and flush mounted it, right? Made it all up and then welded these tabs on to mount the screws on. So, but the original 49 fender front is still there, which is unusual, right? Usually he cuts all this off, but they never. And you can see the bare metal and everything in there. And the way it was all put together, it was a couple of screws, like everything was half put together. And then I went on, and then I pulled the glass out of it. Now the glass is only held in with duct tape. You can see they put a bit of plastic around the glass just to so it wouldn't get damaged or nothing. This piece here, oh my God, this is all filler. I got to grind all that off, and then I'm up here sizing up this front. I remember the gap I had on the fender. If you're looking across this here and look down, just look where the red sport is to the front right here. This section right here. This here looks to be level with the frame rail, but the front don't. Oh my, oh my. So this fender is down, and that fender is up. So I got my work cut out for me. But now what I'm going to do here now, I'm going to sit down now, I'm going to strip all this down, see what I got. I got to strip all the filler off of that there. Strip all these panels down here. I'm not going to get too involved in this here because I don't know how much of this I'm going to save up here in front, because I know this here is going to be changed. But I'm going to clean all this off and get this ready. I'm not going to get too involved in this shit yet. Grind it off, because we haven't decided what we're doing here yet for headlight doors. We might have the I think it's 54 Oldsmobile headlight doors. We might have a set of them. We'll try them out, see what they're like. But I'll get it all stripped down, and when I comes back, that'll be all there around. Well, isn't that a mess? I had to give the compressor a break and the grinders a break. It's getting pretty cold here now because I had to open the door and to turn the fan on up there and to suck all the dirt out. I blew everything off, let the air out here now. I'm going to turn the heaters on here in a sec now and let the place warm up again. But I'm telling you, they had this entire lip filled over, not flat. I don't know why. This the lip got to be there for the windshield to go upwards. And like, you just can't go straight in and expect the glass to sit there and then to sit right. It's got to have that little edge on it. But the owner wants this glass flush mounted, so I'm going to have to build up this lip as well, because it'll be kept in with urethane. It won't be kept in with the chrome and rubber like it used to be. Fenders were decent grinding off. There was nothing major on this. I'm grinding all this with a 24 grinding disc, and there is pitted rust on this vehicle. This whole vehicle is pitted rust on. It's going to all had to be treated, and I just got to get all the material off it. It was left out in the weather and stuff like that, and so you can get pretty crazy with this here. I'm not giving it too much of a heavy rub. I just hits it, and once the paint is gone, I stop. I'd say I'm a good 45 minutes and I hit at this here now, and the old compressor hasn't stopped, so give it a break. Get back at it. That was an afternoon's worth of work. I got it all stripped off. I never went to the hell with cleaning everything up perfect or nothing, because it's all going to have to be gone over again. I just wanted to get everything wiped off, to see what I had, to see where all the work was to, and, you know, where was rust and where there was dents and all that type of stuff, and get all the old paint, primer, and surface rust off the car, and especially get any filler off the car. A lot of things going on here. I don't know what they were thinking up here. I really don't. And but I got it all cleaned off there now, so that's looked after. Up here, I'm going to leave this alone for now until we decide what we're going to do for headlights in the front of this here. I might just clean all this off and we'll stay with these, or we might put a whole new section on the front of this. We're not quite sure. This up here is an abomination. It all works with this. I'm looking at this here, like the hood comes down, then it goes uphill and straight across, and then turns up again, right? If you look at it. Buddy, I'm telling you, that is crude. So I'm here sizing things up, and what I'm going to have to do first is I got to get this hood situated where I want it to be. And that means by getting the heights right. I'm not worried about nothing up front here, okay? Because of the way everything is. Like, this comes down here, over on this side here, and it goes smooth. Huh? It just goes straight off, and that's the way I like to have it. But then when you get to the front here, it lips off. And over here, it lifts off. So like, it's a lot going on. I got a lot of metal work to do on this hood and on this front section, but that's it. Nothing like the rest of her anyway, so. But I'm here now. What I got to do is I got to get this situated here. One of the big things I found with this here, I'm after removing the latch off it. Not open. There's actually no hood stops on this whatsoever. I'm not going to put no latch on it. I'm going to turn around and get the hood fitting to where I think it could go. I also got to do something with the fender. The fender is too low on this side here, so I'm going to adjust that. But the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get the hood. I'm going to double check now, see if this rad support is parallel to the car. And then if it is, then I'm just going to make a couple of stops off of there. And they're probably temporary ones now, just enough to hold the hood up. So when I close the hood got something to rest on. Later on, you can put rubber grommets and whatever on it and adjust it so you get the hood gap right. But I need something there to get the hood up. So I'm going to go ahead down and start sizing all this up. And also, I'm going to have to clean this garage up. What a mess I got here, look. So I'm going to clean the garage up first and then get started on this. So here's where I'm at. I've after taking a bunch of measurements, checking to see what's square, what's not square, what seems to be right on, and what I got to do, okay? What I come to realize is that these two front fenders are in a good position, okay? When I take this here bar, I have it measured back from the headlight pots, and I have this bar put across here. When I start referencing it off the hinge bolts, when I look back across it, when I look at it such ways like this here, they line up. That tells me the fenders are level to the hinge mounts and the hinge mount bolts. And also then, like, you do multiple ones. I take it, the chassis rail right here is not modified. So I measure from there up to the bar here, there up to the bar on the other side, and they're pretty close. What I noticed is this rad support, okay? If you look at that, the level on the bottom is level. It's square to the car, square to the frame of the car. But look at the mess the rad support is in. You can also notice it up here too. The distance here is smaller than the distance here. This rad support is on an angle this way, okay? That's the way that is mounted in there. This lower mount is welded on the chassis higher on this side than it is on this side. Like, I don't know what people are thinking. Also, when you look at it from this angle here, it's hard to see. I'll have to move this forward. But this here is on an angle, okay? This way here. You can actually, if you look at the distance here and the distance here, you can see that there's a larger distance here. So this whole thing is in all crooked and whatever. And I've been sizing things up here, noticing the way the frame rails comes right here and here. Now, I got to put a bumper on this, and I got to find some way to mount the bumper. This here is going to interfere with this bumper. This is something that they put into it, figured they could be able to use it. I might use it, and I might not. I'm not quite sure. But what I got to do is I got to get rid of it, okay? My plan is I'm going to end up hauling that out. I'm not going to be using it. But before it does that, I want to get the hood fitted to the fenders, because the fenders are not going to move. They are where they are. And I'm going to start working on getting the gaps right and getting all this section. All this here, I'm going to be cutting it off it, because I don't like the way anything fits, the way it rolls. I don't like the way this comes here and rolls up here to a point. This should have a small bit of drop off. Like this here should drop off a small bit right here in the middle. Just a small bit. The hood needs to come down and straight into it. The hood is coming down now. Part of the hood is flaring out and part of it's not. And it doesn't look nice, okay? So all that there's got to go. I'm going to end up building this entire nose cone section all from scratch. It's going to have the same design as what's done here now. But it's going to follow the Buick grill that goes in it. And I'm going to build it all. I'm going to continue on out around the side here. I'm going to make this a little bit more chunkier. After I fix the bumper on, I'm going to come out across here a bit more with a bigger piece. Headlight pots, all that type of stuff. I haven't figured none of that out yet. But let's get started on this now. I want to see if I can get this hood set up. What I'm going to do, I was going to put stops on this, but the rad support is all full up. And I start thinking about the best way to do this. If the fenders are in the right position, all I got to do is put the hood to hide that. So I'm going to do the same thing here as what I did out in the back of the car. I'm going to weld washers on the hood, so when the hood lays down, it's going to rest on the fenders in a good location, and then I'll just build everything around that, and then later on I'll build stops when I put the rad support and everything in as well. So let's get started. I'll get that hood, get some washers put on it, and get it fitting. So all I went and did is I welded a washer onto the hood so it rested on the fender. Okay, that will give me a height. So it's the same height here. Done the same thing over here. Welded the washer on so it's the same height right off the bat. You notice the gap? Right? Tight over here. Then you come around to the front here. That's not even squared off. Then you look at this gap here in the front. Look, I can walk in through there. Shove my hand right on in through some of them places, look. That's the way that's all built here. And you can see what I'm talking about here, the way this rolls off here. They roll part of the hood, right? And I think that this hood should come straight down, much all the way around here, come flow into the front of this, and then this here should, from here, kick out. Should do the same here in the middle. Just a small bit, probably about right here somewhere. Just go straight down and then start to flare out. So you can actually see the top of this here section where it goes across. Don't blend it off into the body seam itself, right? And then have all this coming down flat. But that there's got a lip on it now, see? The way they got it done. So I got to deal with that. I noticed a gap, so I come back here, and the first thing I noticed that is tight here, and it's opened up over there. So I got to put the hood back on that side there. By doing that, it's going to bring the hood over, and that should open up the gap proper. What I'm going to work on here now, that I got that done, there's a lot of work got to be done here. I'm going to work on getting this here looking good, okay? I'm going to start here. This is the structural part of the car. I want the hood to fit this. So I'm going to work on making the hood fit this up here. These corners don't matter because all this stuff here is homemade. All this here. This originally came down here and went right over to the edge here. This originally came down here. They made all this, so I'm going to have to dress that after. All I'm worried about is from here over. Getting this here so it's the right height and there's the right gap all along there. And then I got a decent gap to know that the hood is straight on the car. Then I can just go start from one end and start rebuilding the hood as I'm going, right? So I'm going to go over now and loosen up the hinge over there on the body and tap it back and see if I can get this to line up better. The more you play with it, the more you see. I'm pretty well over an hour now playing with this hood. Last time you see me doing some adjustments over here. When I started to get into it, I started thinking about it. I said, wait a second now. Didn't he buy new hinges for this car? In which he did. They were in the car. There's a brand new set of hinges there and new hood bolts that goes up here, a special bolt for them there, right? This had some stuff cobbled up on it, and the bottom pin was bad on this side, and the upper hinge was worn over there. So then I went into the whole process of changing both hinges, got them done. Then I went back to realigning everything again, moving it around, getting it all aligned. The problem I had was the back here on the cowl, the back of the hood was low. If you notice, this is a two-piece hood, and they got it welded together. Now there's a piece comes here, and a piece comes here, and it's bolted together here in the middle. What I got to do is I got to take this all apart and I got to weld all that solid. I've after tweaking it now right there in the middle. I put a piece 2x4. All I did was this. I laid a piece of 2x4 like that and I closed the hood. And that's what I did. That pushed that right up 4 inches harder than it should have. It's just that I had to tweak it. I start playing around with the 2x4 here, something smaller, handle, and and eventually I got to this point. I needed this much leverage on it in order to bend the hood right there. This bracket on bolts. Now I'm going to have to unbolt all this, weld all this up here, and then I think I'm going to weld that bracket under. I'll spot weld it on where it's to, or I might eliminate it all together, just give it a smooth look. Probably what I'll end up doing with that, but I'll have to weld something across there to give that strength. Because right now that there wants to be flimsy and stuff like that, and that's where the back of the hood height comes from. But in saying all that, I'm pleased with where I've gone with this. As you can see now, looking up across here, the hood is sitting pretty good with the cowl all the way along there. Okay, now the gap up here on this side is good, up along here. Again, it's still wide over there. I'm going to have to close that side up, so I'm going to have to weld something onto the hood there. But I'm happy with it. It's all going across this way here pretty good. Now these corners are going to have to be reworked, like this tight there in the corner. All these are homemade, so I just can't go core and try to line something. This all I was worried about is getting this much of it straightened away here on both sides. And from what I can make of it, I think that side of the hood there is a head this side, because this is a two-piece hood, see, when it was put together from factory. And the gap here is bigger than the gap here. So, you know, and there's, the way it's all put together, it's put together and spot welded together. When they put it in again from factory, they'd probably say this side of the hood was back a little bit. Either that, or whoever was at this before grinded that off, one or the other, okay? But I'm not gonna worry about that. I can't go bringing it back any farther there, because then it opens up the gap over here too much. And I'm happy with the gaps that I got here now. I got a nice gap. All I'm looking at is this section right here. And this section over here, because this is all buggered up down here. Right, so back here is pretty good. And same with over here, this is all buggered up, see? So I had to pick a spot where I figured, okay, where's the gaps half sensible? And it's right there. Because all this has been made up, see? And welded up and jerry rigged up. But now that I got the hood sitting where I want it to sit, I'm going to have to start piecing this together now, starting from here, working my way around the hood. This front section is a nightmare, okay? I'm going to have to end up cutting most of this off, getting clear of it, and starting from scratch here because of the way everything is done. We don't need these, right? The way they have a lot of this done, coming down and it flares off. But the funny thing about the flare ends about right here on this side, and the flare goes right over to here somewhere on this side. Yeah, they meant well, I suppose. So I'm going to go ahead now and start figuring things out. I'm going to sit down and start piecing everything together and getting my seams decent coming down here. I'm going to work on from about here back and around here on both sides, and this section here. I'm going to start welding stuff up and closing up gaps and opening up gaps. I'm probably going to open up some gaps first and go from there. So let's get started on welding this up. I've been grinding off this edge here, making it a little bit wide and everything. I got to put an inner lip on this. This is just where the end of the trunk lid was cut off, and there's no inner structure to this. It's just a flat skin. So I got to build something for that, but I got to take the trunk lid off for that. I've been going along here now, fixing this up here down as far as this washer. I've been cutting and splitting and opening up and closing up and so on. This is all I'm doing here. Huh? As you can see here now, you can see the gap right here. But you can see the way this is split. I cut this down through here, and then I put a screwdriver in here, and I just widened it up. I bent it out so that it closed up the gap here. This here went down here, sort of went like this on me. So I had to close it up here. And all I'll do now is I'll go back and I'll re-weld that again, and I'll grind and dress that. And I'll just continue on. I got pretty well all this down here, okay? I'm going to do it as far as here, and then I'm going to go over to the other side and repeat the same process again, just widening it up or closing it up, whatever, and grinding and finishing it so I get a decent seam all the way down the edge of the hood. And there it is, all straightened away. That's all I do now. I'll do that, continue on doing that throughout the hood and all different places. So I got this side pretty well glued up. I'm only doing as far as here first, and I want to get all the back done all around here, down as far as the washer on the other side, because I got to rework the entire front. Over here now, I'll come over here and I'll repeat that same process over here. And you can see now how rough some of this is. Like someone's after welding some of it up already, putting edges and stuff like that. I gotta come over and dress all this up now. The seam don't seem to be as bad over here. I just gotta clean it up a bit, make it look a lot better. Weld some low spots like right here, bring all that back up. And I got a high spot here. I'm gonna have to roll the corner of the trunk lid to get that down. So I cut this here this way. Instead of cutting it this way, I cut it this way here. And what that did is that laid it down. Then I tapped it down and I got it lower. Now I got an issue here where it's getting tight and I got a big opening gap here. I'm going to have to rework all this here. But what I'm concentrating on right now is from here to here. Okay? From that washer back. And I started back here and I'm working my way forward. Now this here is a mess. Let me show you this. You look here and you actually see, they actually welded on a bit of round stock right along here. Now this is supposed to be flat. Look, right here. That's supposed to be like that. Going right down around through here. And you can see what they did to widen it all up. they just welded a piece onto it. And you can see where I made the cut to change the back end of it. So what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to get clear all this, grind all this off so I got a flat surface to start with, see where my gaps are to, and then I'm going to start back here, take 4 or 5 inches, cut up, pry it out, start welding it up and work my way down across the hood this way. So there's how it's supposed to look. I got it all grinded off there now. There was some material on that. I had to take the grinding stone and cut most of it off before I started grinding it with the 24. A lot of material. Let's see how lovely them gaps are now. Yeah, they're a bit much. I can shove the screwdriver down through there sideways. You can see up here, this is what it's supposed to be like. And then you come down, you can just see how wide it gets. And it gets down towards the end. It gets thin again. It's not so bad down here, right? I can't put the screwdriver through this way. You can see how wide that screwdriver is there. So look at it right here, look. I can pass right through here. So what I'm going to do now is come back here. I'll start about right here. I'm going to cut and split this. I'm going to do about 4 inches. Bring it out to where I'm happy with it. Weld it up, grind it, dress it. 4 inches. Weld it up, grind it, dress it. And just go down through there so I can get a nice seam all the way down through there. And finish it off as I'm going. And that way I got a decent seam. So you have seen the process of what I does. I'll cut 4 inches, I'll widen it out, I'll weld it all up, and I'll turn around and I'll grind and finish that off. I'll go on to the next one, I'll cut that, widen it up, and weld it up. Now you see me there using a filler rod. That's an old coat hanger. Sometimes the gaps are pretty wide there, and then I grind and flush it after it's all done. It looks pretty crude when it's done. I just like putting a lot of heat in it. It's in a pretty structural areas on the edge of a hood, and it's got this here, so I haven't got too much worry about warpage there, see? And you say, okay, Tony, since you got it all well, why don't you just go on and do all the rest of it? This is the reason why. I'm turning around doing this here, and I'm opening up the gap, and I'm grinding and finish it. When it's all finished and said and done, I can look at it. But if you look at this here, you can see this is starting to get wide again back here. I'm still not happy with this width here. So what I'll do now is I'll go back and I'll cut this section here, I'll widen it up a bit more and re-weld it again. I know it's a lot of work, but I'm trying to get a nice edge along this side here so that when it's all said and done, when it's the filler work, I don't mind having a small bit of filler on an edge of a hood, but I don't like it having it thick, okay? I just want it there to be smooth. What they had done there, this would have been about that thick on the side of the hood, and the whole hood would have been heavy, okay? And so this is the way I do it. I try to finish everything off so that it doesn't need a lot of filler work, okay? So I'm going to go ahead now and get this done and go on and get all this section done. And when I comes back, we're going to get started on this back part of the hood. Spent a bit of time at that. I'm pleased with it now. Got a nice seam all the way down there now. And when you open it up, you can see it's got an edge on it now. Everything's done. It's still got to be fine-tuned. What I'm going to do is on the back side of that, I'm going to weld a bead right along here on the inside of that when it takes the hood off, just to give it strength, because I've after doing a fair bit of grinding in that corner. I've after adding metal and all that type of stuff to it. So just to back it up, I'll weld a back edge on it, right? It's not something that you need to do a lot. This hood, by rights of me, would have been better if I had started off with another hood, because there's so much work on it. But I can tell you from experiences, these hoods never fit good on these cars, okay? There was some modifications going to have to be done with it anyway. Anyway, I got that glued up, and I'm back here now, getting ready now to do this back section here. What I got going on here now is I likes the way the body's shaped here, and you can see the hood. I got to put a sliver in there, okay? I got to put a piece in there about from there back to here, and just weld a piece in there, and then trim it to fit nice. And then I'm going across here, this fits good, but then when it gets over here in the middle, it gets pretty wide, and it's wide probably over to here. And then all this is wide. What I think I'm going to do there, because it's a rolled lip, I can't split it and widen it because it's on an edge of a panel, and it's just all of this is a rolled over lip. So I'm thinking what I'm going to end up doing, I'm going to end up welding a coat hanger to that and just lengthening it a little bit and then grind it off. I think the coat hanger might be too much, so it'll be lots of leeway. And what I'll do is I'll weld it on the top and I'll weld it on the bottom, and then I'll grind and dress it. I don't need a lot, right? I just need to close up the gap. The gap is good right here, and the gap is good right here. But then it just gets right wide here in the middle. So it's just one of those things. But what I intend to do with this is when I flips it upside down, like this here is just chopped off. It's just raw edge metal. I want to put an inner lip, like you know the way panels are folded and over. I want to put that lip all the way folded in over there and have to give this a nice round edge along here, right? So what I'm going to do here first, I'm just going to weld a piece onto here, probably up to here somewhere. Give me a little bit of leeway. Find a scrap piece of steel and weld onto there. And I'll dolly it up. I'll grind it all off and have it so that I can actually put the lip on the inside of it. But I got to get this here gap right first before it does anything else. The other side over there is best kind. And that side over there is pretty good. So I'll do that first. Get a piece welded in that. So here's where I'm to. You saw me just take a random piece, weld it in place. I wasn't too worried about, it's better to weld a large piece in than a small one. Then I turn around and then I trimmed it up, and then I start grinding it and re-welded it and re-grind it again. Now I just give it a quick grind up there to get it fit. Now I'll take a marker now and mark this, and then I'll start grinding it fit. It's overlapping there now, it's got everything pushed ahead on me, so I got to keep an eye on it. So I got to grind it now till it don't overlap no more, and then I can fit it again. So I'll just go ahead now, cut this all, grind this. I'm just going to do it with the grinder and the ear grinder. This one here, I'm just going to do it with that there, just keep grinding away like that on it until I got it where I'm happy with it. So now I got it so it's not touching, and I'm noticing up here I never had big enough piece here, so I'm going to weld a bit more on this up here. I don't mind that after, I'm going to worry about that now. I'm just going to turn around now and take a marker now and mark this out to see what it looks like. To get a gap there, and then I'm going to turn around and grind it off. So now it almost looks like there's a gap there now, but that's the actual marker. So now what I'll do is I'll grind all the marker off, and I'll have a nice little gap there then, and I'll fine tune it, and then I'll weld another piece in up here. Now I got a nice gap going down through here. What I did up here is I grinded it all off square, so I can actually get a piece to weld in there now. So I'll get a piece now and weld in there, and I'll grind just that to get a nice seam from transition from there up to here. Nothing fancy, just welding pieces in there, grinding them off. I'm putting a lip right along through this here, and I grinded this back a bit more. I don't know if you can see it there, you can see the 3 layers of steel there. I gotta let one of them go and cut it off. The other one is part of the framing that stays there. But I'm gonna put a lip in there, and I'll weld this right along here on this edge here, so it'll give me an actual roll lip, like a door edge lip, the way this is done here. Because this here used to come straight back, and what they did is they just chopped it off. So this is just bare metal here, there's no edge or anything on it, right? So I'm going to put a lip edge on it all the way around. So I got that done. Now I got to move up here, and I got to start welding a coat hanger across here. I thought about a few other, I thought about widening this up, cutting this and widening this, but then it's going to throw the distance off here because I noticed that this is consistent right across on both sides, and I don't want it to actually go wide on me like this up here to hide that. I just assume letting the hood there. It's not a good practice to be welding stuff like that on it, but it's the only choice I got. I'm going to grind it on the inside and have it so that you're not going to see it's just going to look like it's going to have a wider lip in there. I thought about welding flat steel onto it, much the same as what I got done down here. But, I don't know. The coat hanger thing will give me all the build that I want. And, because I only got to come up a small bit. Come out a small bit. So if I use this, the coat hanger, I could shape it and tack weld it on. And then weld it and grind it off. And then I'll dress it to fit this edge then. After the fact. So, I'm just going to go ahead now and get a piece of coat hanger. And set it up and weld it on there. Here's all I got. Just a simple old wire coat hanger. You can use welding rod. I was over there taking one of these off the wall, and I started thinking, Tony, when's the last time you bought a welding rod? And you know what? I've never ever bought welding rod. I've always had coat hangers. This is all I makes out of them. I just straightens one end, hammers it out, and makes a nice little rod out of it. Now there's a coating on these ones. See, there's a coating, and I just takes a bit of sandpaper and just gives them a quick scuff to get rid of the coating. And it's as simple as that. This is welded on there now. And what I'll do is I'll end up welding all this solid on there. And then when I take it off, I'll weld the inside of it as well. I'll grind it flat here. I'll grind it flat here. I won't touch this edge, okay? And then when I'll turn around and I'll come up here and I'll just clean it up as best I can this way here. But I've always goes a little bit farther than I need to go, so that way I can federate it back. Same one up here on this end up here. I went past where I need to put it, and then I can actually just feather it into it, right? So, but that's it. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book. This has been around since they've been coat hangers, and anybody can weld. Fellas used to use them with oxyacetylene, do the same process again. Little coat hangers they can use for anything. So I'm gonna go ahead now and get that all welded up. So I got it all welded up. I took my time. I welded an inch, skipped 2 inches, welded an inch, skipped 2 inches, and went out like that, and then it'll cool off to the touch. Then I come back and weld again. I didn't blow no cold air off it. I didn't want to go warping this up because this is still good, right? I got over on the other side over here, and I wasn't fussy on what it looked like, so I welded another piece onto it. I made it longer over there. So I got that all done now, so it's ready now that I can take this off. I got all the seams and everything are good here. I got the seam set up here, and I'm all ready to go. So I'm going to pop the hood off of this now and start making these sections out here and dressing the inside of the hood on the back side and stuff like that. I also welded up the frame on the back of this as well. These hoods are built in 2 pieces, this side and that side, and then they have this brace here in the middle. I'm going to eliminate that, and you can see what I got done there. I got both sides now welded together to the center of the hood. I'm going to take that brace off, and I'm going to build a piece now to join the 2 of them together, because what happens is the center of the hood starts to fall, and I want to make this all one piece on the back side here to give it lots of strength so that it stays the right height on the back side of the hood. So I got the hood taken off, and I got it flipped upside down. You can see what's going on here now. You can see there's a lip going along here, and there's the coat hanger that I welded on. I got to weld that on across here now and dress that up as well. Over here is what I'm talking about. You can see the way this lip goes and it fades out, okay? This is supposed to continue on onto the trunk lid that went straight this way here. But they chopped off the trunk lid, and this is the piece that I welded on the side of it. So what I need to do is I want this lip here to continue on up across here and transfer to this here, because this here would have came down here and faded out on the corner of the trunk lid, and it converted into the pinch weld as it went around like this. So I got to make it in a couple of pieces there to have it so that this here transfers down and becomes part of that. That way I got a nice strong lip all the way around here. And you can see part of the framing is right here. I got to trim that back a bit so it's not out as far. And I got to make it, and I got this set up that I got to grind it off. It's hard to get up. As you can see, I can bend that up. It's bent up there. Let's do the other side. The other side's easier, all these on. You can see where it's bent up here. And I'm going to cut that off across here, right where I've done it. And I'm going to join a piece on to go in along here. That'll look like this here, okay? So that's what I'm going to go at. Also, right here, this thing here, as you can see, the hood was in 2 pieces. I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to weld a piece in across here permanently. I don't need this piece in it now. This is put in after the fact because the hood was in 2 pieces from factory, and that's how they made the whole hood in sections like that there. So I'm going to turn around and remove that and weld a piece across there. So I'm going to go ahead now and start cleaning all this up. I'm going to get this welded up across here, get that done. I'm going to concentrate on getting this stuff done first. I'm going to start sizing up what way I'm going to do all this, get this all cleaned up. So I went ahead, I got this all welded up here. Okay, took my time, let it cool off a bit. And then I went ahead and I welded in around this edge here, all this in here, because all this here was separated, because I want to take this off now and put a piece in there. But I'm going to do these side pieces first. I got these cut off. As you can see, this is where the lip ends here now. But I want this lip to continue on, roll around here, and come up across here and join into that there, okay? It sounds complicated. I'm going to do this in a couple of pieces. First of all, I'm going to make a piece to fit out here. I got this here. I'm going to lay this like so and weld that on there. And then trim it up, and then I'm going to make a piece to come down here, fade out, and just end here somewhere. That'll start my lip in here. And then I'm going to build a piece to go from here to here, and then put the lip on it that way, grind it off, and then weld this entire lip down along here and grind dress this corner here. The whole point of that is to give it lots of strength to this corner. You can probably sit down and try to make all this in one piece. I'm not going to bother with it because it's going to take up too much time. I'm going to weld this on here and weld it along the lip here, weld it up here, trim it off, and get the shape that I want. So I want this here now, this here piece here, I want this to come along here, and then I want it to fade out past this bracket. Fade out to about here somewhere. I'll do the same on both sides, and I'll make a little lip that'll go down there and weld all that together. So let's get this piece made up. I'll go ahead now and get this one all made up. I'll take you along on the one on the other side. So there, I got this side done. You can see now the lip that goes along here transfers up around the back here, and then it flows into this one here. This comes down through here and folds in around there, goes in around there. All this here is, this is one piece here, this is a second piece, and this is a third piece. You can see here on the side now, this here will fade out, and it'll just flow around the side of it. It just looks a lot more tight. This cornered edge now has got lots of strength to it now because it's all been thickened up there. And there's also right here where this inner braces to it, there's 3 layers, so there's lots of strength in that there. Now, I'm probably going to have to rework that when I get back on the car, and probably might have to weld this edge a bit more or something like that to get it fit, or grind a bit more off it. I'm not quite sure. All depends, right? Because the final fitment will be on the car. I went ahead then and over here and I did my first grinding over here on these, and you can see that it's going to have to be welded again, right? And I'm just grinding this flat is all I'm doing. I'm not worried about this edge here because I'm going to do that when I get it on the car, but I'd like to have this here edge here all finished, and I'll do the same with the top side as well. So all I got left with is to grind this edge here to get my gaps right. Same one up here. Like, I'm not going to worry about this lump up here where it sticks off or I welded the piece on. I just want to get this nice and smooth along here and along here, and I'll do the same one on the outside. Now that I got all that done, and you can see how this here is all made, I'm going to go ahead now and make this one over here, and I'll walk you through each one as I'm going and show you. It's just simple, one piece at a time, large sections, pieces, welded in, grinded, fitted, and dress it up as I'm going. That's all I'm going to do with it. As you can see the way I pieced it all together there. Made a piece on the bottom side, then I've done a lip on the inside that came down and transferred into this one here, and I just made the large section that went in there and I welded it in. I want to show you this here now, and before I flipped it over, I want to grind all this off before I flips it over. And what I went and did while all that was cooling, I went up here and I did my first grind on this here. Okay, you can see now where that there is. Still got a few spots I got to touch up on that, so I'll do that. But if you look this way here now, it's got a nice lip on it. Okay, hold my hand there, you can see there's a nice lip going along there. And it's all inside is all finished, so I'll finish all this on the outside here. So all I got to do then is cut it this way here, and then just round out my edges. And I'll give you my thickness to it, right? That's something I do a lot. In a case like this here, it's probably wise because the way the lip is designed, right? But anytime I got a closed-in section or like a corner or something like that, I just assume split it much the same as I did here, widen it, right? So I'm gonna go ahead now, grind this off here, re-weld this here and get this grind off again, and then flip it over. And here it is on the bottom side. You can see it's still welded. I got the outside grinded off, and I just butt welded it there, and I butt welded onto the piece right there. Okay, and this is a piece that I made up separately, and I folded it over, and I left it standing up here because I knew if I started to pull this here, I was going to pull away from there. So as you can see, there's a pretty big transition from here to here, and then I just welded up this edge here, welded along here, down here. So I'm going to grind dress that all up there now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fit this on. I still have to weld this up. I'm not going to do that right now. I have a hole on the other side of the hood that got to be welded up. Some other things in here got to be welded up as well, and there's a lot of work I'll be done on this hood, and of course the front. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on getting this back section here fitting properly now, and get a nice gap on the back side of it. And I'm going to call her a video because it's getting pretty long, this one is. So I'm going to get this grinded up now and get this hood bolted on. So I got it bolted back on. I'm pretty pleased with it. Across the back here now, you can see where I welded the piece in there. I'm going to grind that down now with the grinder, and I'll leave that there, and I'll just fade that back into this here. Over on this side here, it seemed like to me that it's tucked in a small bit right here on the edge. So I'll tap this out first before doing anything else with it, and I'll just ground off this edge here to round it off a small bit. Down here is a small bit of tightness right here, but I'm going to take that up in the fender. There's a lip right here in the fender, and I would like to take that off it so that this here is the concave. There's a small high spot in the right there. I'll probably grind that off, but for the rest of it, that's pretty good. Here, the same thing is going on. It's moved in on me, so I got to tap it out. That's where you pull everything together when you put the lip and everything on it. Same issue down here, but not as bad. Round that off there, and of course you can see over here now the tightness of it. And what I'm going to do is I'll fade that out there now and get that here to taper back from about right there somewhere. It seems like from here over, it's a good seam, huh? I'm going to do nothing with that. And all I got to do now is just taper that back there. But first things I'm going to do now is I'm going to hammer out these corners and get them to fit better. So I got this side where I like it now. It's got a nice line and everything on it. Nice rolled edge on it. Grinding it off. Got to fit nice. Nice seam up along there. It's nice and strong. Over here, same thing. Nice and strong. Got a nice lip to look at now. Rolling around there. Around that edge. Down here now I'll have to do some work on the fender down here. You can actually see that it comes up and it bumps up on the fender, so I can probably take that out of the fender there to open up the gap there. But everything's good here. I may work this a bit more, but what I'm going to work on now, finish off, is this up here, this section here. So let's get this grinded off and call this one done. All I got done here is my air grinder, and I got the pad put on it backwards. That way I can lay it in here, and I'm going to work my way across here to grind that out. And all I'm going to do is just to slowly take a bit off it, bit off it, bit off it like that, and just keep eyeballing it till I'm happy with what the seam will be, and then I'll just clean it all up and round out the edge. Nice consistent seam now all the way across the back there. Looks good. A lot of work on this car. A lot of work. But the main thing is like I wanted to get all that there fit into the body and get everything solid and finished up. It can probably be fine-tuned at a later date, but the majority of the work is done. It's just fine-tuning later on that will have to be done if you really want to get meticulous with stuff. But like I got a nice strong corner here again now because, you know, all this was cut off it. And so now I got it all reinforced and then made it look like a factory roll on the inside edge and put a lip on the inside edge of it. And I continued on down here on the bottom. As you can see, there's a nice gradual roll now that'll just go up and taper off into the back part of the hood. And then when you come in here and you look in through here, you can actually see that the seam just continues on all the way around. Hard to see there with the hinge now, but it continues on all the way around the back of the hood. And you can hardly even tell whether it was a coat hanger welded on there. Look. Yeah. So maybe, you know, that is growing out. That's all solid there that was growing in there, and it was probably over 1/8 of an inch thick, like this way, and from the panel itself. And what I did then, when I come out to the end of it, I welded a bit more, but same with over here. When I welded these corner pieces on, I welded this corner here and put a bit of strength in this, so when I grind it off, I didn't grind the edge off it again, right? So. But there you have it. I got so much more done. There was a lot of work to this. You know, between getting the hood fitting, getting these sides ironed out, there was a lot of work to be done. There's so much work done to this car, and it just was not up to par. And I like to have all my edges finished to the whole point. I don't mind a bit of filler. This car will be filled. Before anybody asks, I'm not looking to metal finish this car. This car will be filled. It just won't be thick, okay? I like having all my edges pretty well on par to the point that when it's filled, all you're doing is fixing low spots, dents, and a little bit of welding here and there and that type of stuff, and probably a few ding dents and whatnot, and to make it nice and straight. But I'm pleased with that. Nice simple little seam there, and an easy fix using a coat hanger. Got all these side sections here all glued up. It's a nice little feature the way that was done. Most of these just continued right on outside of it. So it's another custom feature that's completed. And nice seams going down as far as the washers. I'll have to conquer this front section next. But anyway, I'm going to leave this one here. I hope the tips were good. And until next time. Except when you're doing custom work on cars. You should have to see the movie. Oh my, that young crowd.